Hello and welcome. Let me know if you're watching the replay. And I'm sorry, I have to adjust my light here. It just fell over as I was talking. And which side? Okay. It's my window side of my face that's glowing. So there's nothing I can do about it. I'm hoping everybody can hear me okay. I don't usually do my videos too often from my desk. This is actually where I record my podcast. So if you are new to me, let me introduce myself. My name is Evelyn Knight. I am the founder and CEO of Childcare Business Professionals, which is a company that helps childcare owners learn the business of childcare, how to have a successful center that puts the children first. I'm also the host of the Child Care Business Coach podcast. And I have started a new program where called Child Care Building Blocks, where we help new owners or potential owners discover how to be successful from day one. It's something I'm very passionate about, is making sure that you don't struggle like I did. I lost a lot of money. I shed a lot of tears. And I really want better for other owners out there, potential owners and directors. It affects directors too. So look into that if you are currently looking at purchasing or expanding, if you have a home center, anything like that. And you guys, I can guarantee you, it's not what you think. So many of us, I was a home provider. I actually ran, I had a lot of experience. I've worked centers. I had a lot of experience in childcare, and I had no idea what I was getting into. So thank you for joining. Say good morning. It does get lonely, and I do like to know that the work I do is making some kind of a difference. It is nice to know that I am not doing this just to waste my time, because time is a very, very important commodity to me, is the most important commodity I have. And I will tell you why today. I did consider pre-recording and not doing this live, because today is my husband's birthday. And for those of you who've been following, you know that he passed away a year ago. It's been a little bit over a year, and today he would have been 50. So I planned on celebrating, but it is kind of hard sometimes to celebrate. And that brings me to what I want to talk to you guys about today. When you approach these milestones, there's a lot of reflection that happens. And I start to do a lot of self-reflection. And that was one of the big things that I really started reflecting about, is celebrating my past and looking at my past. And you really start to question your past, right? And really can kind of get stuck in the past. And I'm currently reading Ed Millett's new book, The Power of One More. And ironically, I think it was Saturday, I listened to the chapter, I listened through Audible of his book, where he talks about just where do you live? Do you live in yesterday? And I wish I could remember his exact quote. I bookmarked it in my Audible, ran to my Kindle, had to start because it was such a great quote. The way he said it was amazing, where he basically said, his point was to live in your dreams, right? And he pointed out children, and we are blessed enough to work in the land of children. And we look at how, like, children live in this fantasy world, and they are creating the world around them. But as adults, we live in the past. And instead of moving forward and creating our futures, we stay stuck in our history. So Ed talks about really stepping outside of that and living your dreams, allowing your brain to be in the space of tomorrow instead of yesterday. And all weekend, I've really been thinking a lot about that. And I have to say, that right there alone is probably why I've been able to bounce back as quickly as I have. And of course, by God's grace, I can never take credit for anything on my own. God has blessed me. Even now, I can just look at my life and just be so overwhelmed with how much God has blessed me. I've had a lot happen. I've had a rough life. My dad was a heroin addict, an abusive heroin addict. I grew up in a pretty tough situation. And but no matter what, I can't help but see how blessed my life is. And I always do look to the future. I don't live in today. I don't live in yesterday. I live in tomorrow all the time. And that can be good and bad. The bad about it is that I really struggle to be present. I really struggle to be in the now. I really, really struggle having conversations with friends or listening to a really good training or a really good book like Ed Millett's book, right? Like I listen to my books while I'm hiking or while I'm washing dishes, but I really don't just sit down with a book in my hand and just read like I should, right? So there has to be a balance. We can learn from our past and we can gain courage, strength, and knowledge. I almost went bankrupt twice, right? And there's a reason that there was twice. There's a reason that I repeated the same mistake twice. And I can look at that and I can learn and I can grow and I can make sure that I never allow that to happen to me again, or I can stay in a place of self-pity. I can stay with a victim mentality and think, "Oh my gosh, the economy is about to get horrible. Oh my gosh, everything is going to be terrible. What am I going to do? What am I going to do when everything goes, I've almost gone bankrupt twice. It's going to happen to me again, right?" How many of you are stuck in that kind of mindset? How many of you are, "Oh, these bad things always happen to me?" If those are the type of thoughts that go through your head, I can tell you right now, and my background in neuropsychology, I'm going to come from science, not from like spirituality, but you are manifesting those things into your life. You are. And I know that's hard to hear, but it is the truth, right? It is the absolute truth. Because what happens is your subconscious mind gets that in its head that this always happens to me. Your subconscious mind is living in the past. It is always focused on your experiences and it thinks to itself, this is the way it has to be. This is the way life is. It is just what it is, right? And so what we do is our subconscious mind fights to make that happen. And you don't even realize it. You set yourself up for failure. And I can guarantee you, if you look in retrospect, look at your relationships, look at your relationship with money. Just think about the one thing that you struggle with the most in life. Think about the one thing that you feel consistently happens to you over and over and over again, right? I had to really think about how I said that. I wanted to say the worst things that happen to you, but there's no control. Sometimes we have no control over a lot of things. So if you do struggle financially and you have your entire life, if you do find yourself in a situation where you're always like in this, like, oh my gosh, I have no money. How am I going to pay my bills? And you find that you get there all the time. Now I want you to do some really deep thinking and ask yourself, why is that? If you're honest with yourself, right? And I want you to take that tool that I talk about all the time and ask yourself 7 times, why is that I always struggle with money? And I can tell you many, well, there's just not enough and I haven't gotten a good enough job. My center isn't making enough money. I just don't make enough money. And why doesn't it? Well, because parents don't want to pay. Why don't they want to pay? And then you're going to probably get a pause when you get to that third, right? Well, why don't they want to pay? Why can't I raise my rates? And you might think, well, I can raise my rates. They're not paying because they don't have to, because I'm allowing them to get away with it. Why does that teacher walk all over you? Right? Well, they're just calling in and they think they're entitled. They think they can just do what they want. They think they run this place. Why do they run this place? Well, they just have this sense of entitlement. But why? Why do they have that sense of entitlement? Well, because honestly, they don't know any different. Nobody's ever held them accountable. I do nothing about it but pretty much internalize and complain to others, but I've never actually spoken to them about it. And if you have, you're going to have to ask yourself, well, what else have you done? Have you put them on probation? Have you written them up? And if it continues, then what? Right? When you get to those 7 layers of why, what ends up happening is we have to find the answers within. We have to. And it's hard because they're not always pretty, right? I really, really thought about not doing this live today. I thought last night, I literally had the thought last night. So I live in the Reno, Nevada area. Every year we have the most wonderful event. It's my second favorite that Reno hosts. Reno has amazing events, you guys. If you ever want to travel somewhere to Reno, August, first week of August, got to come to Reno for Hot August Nights. It's the largest classic car show in the world. The entire city turns into like this 1960s through the 80s vibe, music, people dress up. It's amazing. It's so much fun. And so yesterday, my son and I had gone to the parade, which was a 2-hour long classic car parade, amazingly wonderful. And I was driving home and thought to myself, I could just go record my video today. I don't have to show up live tomorrow. I could just pre-record it. I could just tell everybody why, and nobody would think different of me, right? Everybody would say, okay, that's her husband's birthday. That's okay. She's excused. She doesn't have to work tomorrow. But then I had to ask myself, why? Why? Why am I going to go record this video and not show up? Why am I scared of tomorrow? Right? And that's like, I love muscle cars. Okay. Yes, I do too. I love muscle cars. You got to, if you're a friend of mine, I'm sorry, it shows me, I'll show you. It just says Facebook user, so I'm not sure who you are. But if you give StreamYard permission, it will tell me uh, who you are. But if you go to my Facebook page, I don't know if I recorded it yet, but I recorded some of the engines. I just love the rumbling sound of those engines. So I'll post those today probably just so more people can hear the rumble. But yesterday, as I was driving, it's a 45-minute drive home from Reno, and my son had fallen asleep in the car, and he's 18, by the way. He's not a little boy; he's a big boy. He'd fallen asleep, and I was asking myself, like, why don't I want to record tomorrow live? And the first thought in my mind was, oh, I'm scared. I'm scared of tomorrow. And I thought, well, why am I scared of tomorrow? Well, isn't that obvious? It's Ron's birthday. What am I going to show up as? Am I going to be a mess? Am I going to be able to hold it together? Am I going to lose it? Am I going to be able to do this? And I went those layers deep, and I didn't take the question off the table. I mean, as I was asking myself, I really negotiated with myself and asked, what is best in this situation? Is it best to go home and record tonight, or is it best to do this live today? And the bottom line answer that I came up with is, I need to be real. I need to be real. I need the people out there. I don't want you guys to ever think that because my childcare center is doing well and that I seem to have it together, that I do all the time, because I don't. I don't have it together all the time. Nobody does. We're humans. But we watch these YouTube videos and these social media videos, and we listen to podcasts, and the people on there make it sound like they live this utopian life that isn't reality. And I realized that it's more important for me to show up today and not be my happy, normal, peppy self, right? I know my voice is different today. I can feel it inside of me. I probably look different to you today because there is something that's hard and heavy on my heart today. But I realized that's important for you to see. If I'm going to be truly helping people out there, if I'm really going to make a difference, then you got to see the good and the ugly, right? You got to see me on my bad days too. And I realized, like, that's why I need to show up live. And that's why I need to talk about, how do I get through days like today? Why do I persevere through? And I know that God, his timing is amazing. The day I decided to take a really long hike and listen to the Ed Mylett, that chapter in the book, it was speaking to today, right? It was specifically aligned with dealing with today and realizing, you know what? That is true. I don't need to live in yesterday, right? I need to live for tomorrow. I also don't need to torture myself with memories, with past mistakes, with just the heartache. I need to focus on the beauty that the future could hold for me. So, watch those thoughts that go through your head and your self conscious thinking, the thoughts that you allow into your mind, right? How are they holding you back? How is your subconscious setting you up for failure? Be so aware of that. What happened in your childhood, in your early adulthood last year, during 2020, when it was just insane chaos for us, that sets you off, that triggers you, that terrifies you? How do those things show up in your everyday life, right? For me, one of the big things is I find myself getting caught up in a mindset of scarcity a lot, because I've almost gone bankrupt twice, right? Um, I have to confess, even now, with the current economic crisis we're about to go into, my first thought, my first thought was, I just need to sell now. I could sell and I could be fine and I could live forever off of what I make. I'll be okay. I'll just hoard the money away. And I actually people are always surprised when they see my house, because it's a small house in a normal track neighborhood, because I really understand, like, I don't want to put all my I don't want to live for a mortgage. I don't want to live for my things, right? I want to live. I don't want a huge mortgage that's going to drown me. So I think to myself, like, I would never have to work again. My expenses are so low in my personal life. I could sell and I'd be fine for the rest of my life. And I don't need a lot of money to survive. So that's the first thought that goes into my mind, right? Is that I could be secure, because I don't want to face what's coming. I don't want to face the upcoming crisis. And then my brain goes to, do you remember the last time? Do you remember 2007, 2008? What happened to you then? How bad did it get for you? Oh, that's what's going to happen again. That's where you're going to be again. And I was really starting to panic, right? And before I even did last week's Mindset Monday, and then I was talking to a friend and we were talking about, what's coming. And I was just like telling her, you better be careful. Don't spend your money. Make sure your bills are in line because things are about to get rough. Don't overinvest. And I mean in like goods, not in investing, but like, just really warning her about the upcoming market. And I just was thinking, and the thought suddenly occurred to me, I survived. Not only did I survive the last recession, but I thrived in the last recession. I actually was one of the only ones in my industry, in my region or area here, that survived. And I kind of decided I need to run with this thought. This is a healthy thought. Those other thoughts were not healthy. This is the healthy thought pattern, right? So I took my notebook out and started journaling a little bit about it. And I realized I have all the tools I need to survive this one. Not only do I have all the tools I need to survive the upcoming recession, but I am very well ready, equipped. And if anybody can get through this, it's me. Because not only am I one of the only ones, we had 5 centers in my town when the last recession hit, and only 2 of us survived. Only 2 of us made it out. Not only can I survive, but I can be better at the end, right? But my subconscious mind wanted to go back to, yeah, but do you remember how hard that was? Yeah, but you almost went bankrupt. Yeah, but you almost lost everything. Yeah, but remember the pain of that? Do you remember how hard that was? Do you remember the pain you felt going through that? Do you remember the embarrassment of not knowing how are you going to pay a payroll? Do you remember how horrible that was? Experiencing the embarrassment of an IRS agent knocking on your front door. Do you really want to go through that again? It's going to happen again if you don't do something. That's what my subconscious mind is thinking, right? My subconscious mind is so scared of that pain that it wants to stop and it doesn't want me to move forward. And so I had to stop myself when I had the thought about, but I'm still here, but I'm still okay. right? And I had to tell myself, no, not only did I make it, but I've overcome. Not only I built 2 different programs during the recession last time, and I'm fine. I'm better than I was from 2008 till today. I went through COVID and I was fine, right? I really had to stop and talk to myself about that and just kind of just have that reality check with my self-conscious or my subconscious and tell myself, I got this. I'm not going to let my subconscious sabotage me again. I sabotaged myself once before. The second time I almost went bankrupt. And I decided I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to follow into old patterns of behavior that end up tripping me up. An alcoholic doesn't want to be an alcoholic, right? They hate themselves for it. They hate themselves for it. But those old patterns of behavior, they tell their brain that's who I am, right? Again, Ed Millett, I was listening to his podcast, and as you can tell, like I Christina Richmond, my chief operations officer, has got me on a kick on Ed Millett, and I was listening to his podcast, and he talks about helping a lady lose weight, and he said that the key that he realized is that she lost 90 pounds and thought of herself as a heavy woman in a small body, right? But she didn't see herself as a healthy, vibrant woman. So she gained all the weight back. And she would go on these patterns of up and down, up and down. I'm somebody who has lost 150 pounds in my life. I've kept it off now for 5 years. And I realized, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense because when I was heavy, I saw myself as a healthy person in a heavy body. And I knew I needed to fix that. So once I lost the weight, I have stayed here. Right. So it made sense to me where my brain wants to go to the point of I was almost bankrupt. So I'm a successful business owner in an unsuccessful body, right? But then I had to switch it really quick and said, no, 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 no. I was always a successful business owner. I just needed to gain the knowledge. That's it. And that's where I am today. I've got that knowledge today. And I don't have to worry about what I face tomorrow. You don't have to worry about what you face tomorrow if you're still here today. If you are worried, we can help. So reach out to one of my team members. I am so passionate right now about what's coming in the economic crisis. But that's also how I look at today being my husband's birthday. It's been a rough ride for me. I went into empty nester overnight. My oldest son moved out. My youngest son is never home, even though he has a bedroom at my house. He's 18 and, is ready to move. So he's really not here much. And I went from a vibrant house of 4 people to kind of being just alone, just me, right? And my 4 dogs. But I just realize that sometimes I want to stay in that past. I want to stay in that place of fear because that's what my brain is used to and it knows. But I can't allow my subconscious mind. So I need to take control. And one of the things you can do, and I'm going to give you one takeaway that you can really, really put into use today to change your brain, is every time those negative thoughts come into your mind, ask yourself why 7 times, right? Well, I'm going to give you 2 things. So ask yourself why 7 times. Second thing is, I want you to start telling yourself no. Literally, when those thoughts come into your brain, say it out loud. No, that is not who I am. And I am not going to allow that thought into it is not me. I am. And then end it with an I am statement. Your subconscious mind is kind of on autopilot. It cannot differentiate the difference between reality and fantasy, right? So when you start telling your subconscious the fantasy, it's going to start fighting to make it that reality, right? It's going to start fighting. So when I started this company, Childcare Business Professionals, when I started my podcast, I told myself, I am the #1 podcaster in my industry. And I told myself that over and over and over and over and over and over until I started believing it, right? And then I saw my ranking go up, 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 right? And I told myself that a lot of things I've told myself. And basically, what happens is you'll start taking the actions to become that person because you've just disrupted that subconscious. And your conscious mind knows this is true, but your subconscious mind thinks this is true. So they start fighting to make it happen, right? They actually start fighting to come up with a resolution. Did you guys know that all anxiety is a disruption between your conscious and your subconscious mind? That's it. So when you're starting to feel anxiety, you got to really wonder, like, what's going on back there in the back of my head that I'm not aware of? But sometimes we want to cause these disruptions. Sometimes we want to cause that out of alignment, right? Because if you're not where you want to be, but you're really comfortable where you are, then you want to cause that disruption in your comfort zone so that you are actually causing that anxiety that you will fight with yourself to fix, right? That you want the resolution for. That's how you're going to get to the next level of yourself. You don't want to be comfortable with who you are now if you want to level up, right? If you want to see that transformation in your life, then you want that conflict in your brain. You want your subconscious and your conscious to have that conflict so they're fighting to work together. And yes, it's going to cause you a little bit of anxiety, but sometimes anxiety can be a good thing if it's pushing you to a higher purpose, to a higher place, right? We're going to use it for good. And that's what I want you to think about is we get so stuck in like our pain and where we are. And like for me, I could be so stuck in my husband's passing and his birthday being today. And it is hard and it does cause a lot of, I'll tell you, you guys, it's I took an hour-long hike this morning because I was like, I got to get it together before I face the world, right? But I have to face it. I can't run from it. I don't want to be comfortable in that pain. I can't allow that pain to be my comfort zone. I can't, right? We can't allow the sinners that are running our lives. You can't let that. You are allowing that to be your comfort zone. If your staff is running you, you're allowing that. If you're financially struggling, you're allowing that for yourself. Start telling your brain, this is not me. This is not my center. This is not what I allow for my life. This is what I allow. And paint the picture of what you allow. Lean into your vision. Do the work. And again, if that's something you guys need help with, that's what we do at Childcare Business Professionals. Once we get you into that spot where you can really see it, you will be amazed at how you can just take off and go. Yes, leveling up and yes, I'm going to actually leveling up and expanding has been causing me a ton of anxiety and fear for the future. Yes, it does. But just tell yourself, first of all, know it's worth it. And secondly, just watch the stories you're telling yourself and tell yourself, I am that person. I might not be here today, but I will be. Right. And let me just challenge one more thing, you guys, before I close. A lot of times we think to ourselves, God, it's going to take so long. Right. And we don't ever want to be in the long game for anything because it feels like it's so far away. We are the microwave generation. We want things done in 30 seconds. Where were you 10 years ago? Who were you 10 years ago? And here you are today. Right. Are you in the same place? Where were you 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? How have you leveled up and exceeded where you were then? If you haven't, then let me ask you, do you still want to be here 5 years from now? 1 year from now? Is that where you still want to be? It's time to do some soul searching. And if you haven't painted the picture that you want for your life, it's time to do that now. And it's time to step into it. If this sounds so foreign to you, if this sounds like, oh my gosh, my brain is going to explode, I've never thought of anything like this, then first of all, you need to be at my Childcare Business Summit because that is what we're going to be really focusing on is helping you learn how to think on a higher level because you will not become a higher level leader if you cannot think on a higher level. You have to upgrade how you think, right? So make sure you get a ticket to the Childcare Business Summit. It is so important. If you miss every other thing this year, you guys, I cannot tell you how vital it is for you to be there in person. Zoom isn't enough. I'm not even featuring this on the web because I know that we need to be in the room to really absorb this, to really get it, to be able to speak to the teachers, to go deep, right? I know when I'm doing these Zoom conferences, I'm like off camera doing this and that. I get sidetracked here doing that. I want to change lives. I don't want this to be just another conference with the same old outdated speakers. ECE needs to change. And the way I'm going to make sure I help you to change and that I make sure that I am doing what God put me here to do is to get you there, right? God brought me here for a reason. And I know I'm here to lead our industry through some tough times right now. I'll tell you, that was one of the other things when I thought about, maybe I should just sell. It's like, nope. God basically was like, I have you there for a reason. There's people you need to help. You went through the struggles and pain for a reason. Now you're going to help them get through their struggle and their pain. So make sure if you don't have your ticket, you need to get there. You need to find a way. I know a lot of you look at it and think, God, it's just so expensive. I can't afford. But let me tell you something. People find the money when they need something, when they really, really want it. Homeless people, when I was in New York a couple weeks ago, I was looking around and something that really, really struck me was there was a homeless man who was obviously very high, very, very high. I don't know what he was on, but he was very, very high. And he was so skinny and thin, and you could tell he hadn't been eating properly, but he had the money to get his fix, right? Humans, our brain is conditioned to get what we really, really, really want, right? And need. So when you understand the importance of being at the summit, you will find a way. I guarantee it. If honestly, you guys, if a drug user finds a ways to be on the streets and get their fix, we can do it. That is the power of the human brain. They can't find food, but they can find their fix, right? They do, but otherwise they wouldn't be alive. But we find a way to do what we need to do. And I do feel that strongly about the Child Care Business Summit, that just changing lives, getting us through what we're about to face in this industry. It is that important to me. So make sure that you're there. And if you want to work with us on a daily basis, our membership is always open to members. Every Tuesday, you would have the opportunity to work with me one-on-one through, I do office hours with, it's Coffee with Evelyn every Tuesday morning. And and my whole team Wednesdays, I'm not on every, we have a happy hour Wednesdays where we get together, but our members too. I mean, we are just a really high level incubator, basically, where you've got access to all of my teachings to make sure that you're going to make it through this economy, right? You get all these things put in place so that your systems and procedures just flow beautifully. Your center is stellar, right? You are pricing what you're worth. You are making sure parents pay you. You make sure that you're full. You get all those things into place. And then we get together and we work together. We problem solve. So be sure right now is the time for you guys to lean in. It is the time to join a community like mine that will help us. Be proactive, not reactive, right? Prepare ahead of time. It is so much easier to make sure you stop the fire from ever starting than trying to put out fires all the time. And there is a big fire coming. So make sure that you reach out to us if that struck a chord, because it is time. It is absolutely time. Some of you have been watching my Mindset Mondays for a couple years. I get messages all the time. If you haven't been working with me yet, it's time. I hope everybody has a great rest of their week, and I cannot wait to see you inside our program, and I can't wait to see you guys in person at the Child Care Business Summit in October.